Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to today's edition of Prime on My Media Prime, an edition that is going to be dedicated to looking at what is not working for the football family of the Southwest region. We know that we have had so many decisions taken at that level, especially after a football match that was pitting Kumba City FC with Njarakwan FC, a match that was described by so many persons as not favorable towards Njarakwan Sports Academy, a match that also led to so many decisions by the management and the current CEO of Njarakwan Sports Academy, which started with a press release that was dated on the 3rd of July 2023, and a definite resignation of the fourth vice president of FECAFOOT from the executive bureau of the Cameroon Football Federation, and after which we had the motion of support from the Southwest football family to the current president, Samuel Eto'o, by members of the Southwest Football Federation. Southwest Cameroon Federation of Football family that sent a motion of support to Samuel Eto'o, saying that they are solidly behind him. A motion that was signed by so many persons. This evening we're going to be looking at what is not working well as far as football is concerned in the Southwest region, and we're also going to be extrapolating to what is happening in the nation with our panelists who are in the house. But we also are going to be having contributions from out of this studio. Mr. Kede Lawrence, who is a sports analyst, is going to be coming in from Yaoundé, the nation's capital. We also are going to be having the national president of the PAP party, Mr. Jean Denis, who is going to be contributing to tonight's edition of the program. Where in the studio with me is Apostle Ambe Valentine Gwa, who is a permanent consultant. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. It's a very good and bright day. We are enjoying sports in Cameroon right now because Eto'o is the president of FECAFOOT, and despite the Brouhaha, we are here to analyze and give our own contributions with respect to what is happening in the nation. Stay glued to your screens as we dissect this particular topic.
Okay, also with us is the Kangaroo Man, they call him Fa Elvis Tayong, who is in the studio with us. Good evening, Mr. Fa. We're glad to have you.
Thanks very much, Mr. Leo. It's my pleasure marking presence here today. Greetings to the people of Gunoko Village as usual. Royal greetings to all of them, wherever they may be, and also to Kalingo. President Kalingo is watching us from Kumba, and also to Tanyi Mengot Ashu, who's watching us from the United States of America. But then, with all those who are watching us, I think we think we'll be putting in place a modest contribution, which will be to give the exactitude in terms of analysis of how football functions. I think those who come from Bengui would be, from those who wrote to me, were surprised probably because, I had left football. I had done many football tournaments in Bengui from 3, from 4, from 5 some years back, and politics took me over. But then probably when they saw it, they were asking, they are glad the sportsman is coming back, but then not really sportsman are taking a different cap, but the ideas of sport are still there. So since sports concerns almost everybody, and it is a tool for development, I think we have a say. Whether the devil likes it or not, something must be said this evening.
Okay. Mr. Ako Eno is a sports analyst, a former footballer who has been following up what is happening, especially with respect to what is happening in the Southwest region. He's in the studio with us. We're glad to have you.
Thank you so much, Leo. It's a pleasure to be here once again. I want to say send special greetings to Mr. Ekole Christopher, who is at Mundimba, watching us from there. I want to say special greetings as well to Njarakwan Jr., as well as Samuel Eto'o, who is the current president of the federation. Okay.
Yes, you've told me so much about how Prime R is regarded out of the studios. I know, well, severally we have discussed, but you've been away for so long. Tell me the experience you've had with your move towards persons either in the Damawa or Southwest region so far.
Yes, Leo, it's so beautiful that I use my job, my professional responsibilities to visit other areas in the country. And I've happened to visit a lot of cities, just to name a few. I was at Menganga some time ago. I've been working on some projects in Ekondo Titi, Mundimba, Manfe, Nguti, all those areas where we call them red zones. And I can guarantee you that when it's 7 p.m., everybody there's just one message: my major prime and prime R.
Share some of the things you saw out there.
It's so amazing that at 7 p.m., a lot of people, it's like when it's 7 p.m., you can remember when Cameroon is playing against Nigeria, where there's just one thing you have to do to watch the game.
Yeah.
It's just the same experience I got there in Mundimba. At 7 p.m., everybody watches their TV just to watch the program My Major Prime R. And I can tell you, Leo, the message which you have been passing through is a positive one. That is, you have become a peace crusader, and the people admire you a lot. And I think that from the words of Mr. Ekole Christopher, that this gentleman is actually bringing peace back to this nation.
Yeah, but share the experience in the Adamawa region.
Yeah, with the Adamawa region, I can recall when I had to visit where some Reverend sisters actually live, and I was shocked that at 7 p.m. the Reverend sisters, they had to switch on all the TV sets on My Major Prime. And when I asked why, they said this gentleman is actually preaching peace. And as a Reverend sister, and based on the philosophy of the Almighty God, there are just two things you can preach: peace and love. So it was a beautiful experience in Gaundere, and I cannot undermine the experience as well we got at Menganga. That in a city of such, a lot of people still watch My Major Prime, and in particular Prime R. So I can tell you, Leo, you might definitely not understand what's happening out there, but I can.
But experience in Gucci between the military and Amber guys.
it's so something which was so amazing that on that day when I got there, I was told that it's 7 p.m. and I said, how do I get to know that it's 7 p.m.? It's because of my Prime R. And there is a military mixed control which is just closest to a beer parlor. And when it's Prime R time, it's as though there is nothing worrisome. Everybody comes together and they watch Prime R. And after which anything can happen. But within that period, there is absolute calmness and peace. So once again, I want to greet the duo for Nguti, Mr. Etengeneng. I think he's been doing a good job to ensure that there is peace.
Thank you very much for sharing that. You told me out there I wanted us to share with the audience, but let us start with what's happening in the Southwest region. Can you situate us to what the problem is?
Yes, coming back to what matters of the heart, that is football. Cameroonians, we all love football, and I think that when we talk about football, every Cameroonian is indifferent. In Southwest, before I get to some of the saga that occurred just a few days ago, we had a Southwest symposium for football where so many stakeholders of football were invited. And during that symposium, we talked about some of the issues plaguing football in Southwest. But with all the events after that, I then understood why some persons didn't turn out during that event. I can give you an example. The president of Opopo was not present during the symposium. The president of Option Sports Academy wasn't present during that symposium, for which it was a very enriched symposium to talk about problems of Southwest. We had delegates who came from Kumba. We had Madam Taros who came from Manfe, and we had delegates in and around Fako. It was so enriching because we needed to talk a lot about some of those issues plaguing Southwest football and to get a way forward. Unfortunately, some other persons didn't turn up. And Leo, a week later, we needed to get into the mini interpose, where in the mini interpose we had Boya United that qualified. However, Boya United initially didn't qualify for the mini interpose. It was Fako United that qualified. But one of the issues that was raised during the symposium was to ensure that there should be appropriate transparency. Fako United had a player that had an issue of license. Unfortunately, Fako United was sanctioned, but we were shocked that it's only Fako United that was sanctioned or that was investigated. We thought that transparency was going to be done for all clubs. I think that we have about 29 clubs in the Southwest Regional League. Unfortunately, only Fako United was investigated, which we found it unfair for Fako United. That gave the opportunity for Boya United to qualify for the mini interpose. We had Boya United, we had Isosa, we got Njalakwan Sports Academy, Tico United, I think Istanbul. So it was, we watched beautiful games. The first games were being played in Boya. The playoffs were done in Boya. 2 days, Boya was so buoyant. We watched the games, beautiful games that were being played. And those who qualified for the semi-finals had to go down to Limbe. When we got to Limbe, I think some few days later, Leo, we saw, you could watch beautiful football and talented Cameroonians. In what we saw some few days ago, firstly, the turnout is something which I should celebrate the Southwest Regional League of FECAFOOT, because the turnout takes us back to 2003, where you could find about above 2,000 spectators in the stadium. You could see people who were willing to pay their gate fee.
In the days of, I remember a match between PWG Bamenda
and Mount Cameroon Football Club, yes, where a goal was scored by Ashu Martin of blessed memory at the 83rd minute of play. With at the time you had Mr. Mbongam, who was the then president of PWG Bamenda. We watched a beautiful game, and during the semi-finals games, they were played in Limbe, the Middle Farm Stadium. The pitch was good relative to the pitch in Moliko Mispo Stadium that was wet, and the turf wasn't appropriate. On that blessed day, the game pitting Kumba City against Jalakwan Sports Academy was one of the games. And in the other game, we had Isosa that had to play against Istanbul. I'll use this opportunity to say, may the soul of the player Joel Etoga rest in peace. Isosa, they lost one of their players through a bike accident. Njalakwan Sports Academy had a very good game. A very good game. We saw talent from the Njalakwan Sports Academy, and that's what we call an academy, where players, you have a crop of players that grow up in a particular philosophy of and a style of playing. They played against Kumba City. Kumba City, I can tell you, during the playoffs, they played against Boya United in the Moliko Omispo Stadium. Everybody wanted Kumba City to qualify for the semi-finals. But when we got to Limbe, the game pitting Kumba City against Njalakwan Sports Academy was a disgrace. I'm saying this in the listening of all Cameroonians. It was a disgrace. And we need to talk about this as many times as possible so that we should be correcting the wrongs of the past. The referee on that day is the worst game I've ever watched as far as football is concerned. You could see live match fixing. The referee awarded an imaginary penalty to Kumba City. The player of Kumba City, I think, putting on jersey number 2. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure, yes, that's it. Kumba City initially lost the penalty. The referee brought the ball They had to retake the penalty on the perspective that the goalkeeper moved, which is but normal based on the regulation. But nobody saw the goalkeeper move. The guy took the penalty again, and he missed the penalty.
That's it. He missed the penalty.
He missed the penalty. About 5 minutes later, the referee awarded another penalty to Kumba City, which was an imaginary penalty. Nobody saw it coming. And that second penalty, the entire stadium almost went into the pitch. It was such a disgrace that even those who came in from Kumba were shocked that the referee had awarded a penalty for Kumba City. Worse still, Njalakwan had already received 3 red cards. The goalkeeper of Njalakwan Sports Academy was given a red card, and 2 other players were given a red card. 2 officials of Njalakwan Sports Academy were given red cards. The team doctor of Njalakwan Sports Academy was given a red card. One of the coaches of Njalakwan Sports Academy was also given a red card. So Njalakwan Sports Academy on that day had about 5 red cards. Minimum.
7 red cards.
So Leo, we came to watch. Okay, that's one of that was the first red card to one of the officials. I think that's the referee on that day. Mr. Leo, I can tell you, if the federation, in order to salvage the image of the federation and the football of Cameroon, this referee should not only be suspended, but should be erased, should be suspended indefinitely from football, because what we watched on that day was a total disgrace of football in this nation. For which, Leo, on the day of the symposium, I raised the point. The game Option Sports Academy against Prison Social Club of Boya, that was played at the Boya Town Green Stadium, it was a total disgrace. And I raised the point during the symposium that we cannot be playing football when games have already been fixed.
Yeah.
And the president of the referee commission of Southwest told me that it was just one of the games and that referee had been sanctioned. And I told him on that day that, listen, there are many other games. And ask yourself the question, why is it that Option Sports of Limbe decided to withdraw from the tournament? Because Option Sports Academy purportedly wanted to qualify for the Interpose, but thought that they had a pre-discussion that Option Sport was going to qualify for the Interpose. Consequently, this year was supposed to be Option Sports year. Reasons why Option Sports refused to be present in their last 2 games of the tournament. Fortunately, the president of Option Sport, Mr. Neba Awanto, has been suspended by the federation for 5 years, because the rules and regulations of the federation states that if a club refuses to show up in the last 3 games, the president is going to be suspended, because clubs were noted for match fixing in the last 3 days in order to favor another club. So, coming back to the game Njalakwan, pitting Njalakwan, we saw the presence of Captain Fetcher, who came to throw his weight behind the Njalakwan Sports Academy. We also saw the presence of the president of Opopo in the dressing room of the referees. We saw the presence of...
Is that where the problem started?
You know, Leo, when you look at football, the way football has been going in Southwest, before you look at the mini Interpose, we need to go back in the games that were being played and the ambitions of some individuals in Southwest as far as Interpose.
Apostle Ambivan Tengwa, I don't know whether you've taken the pains to go through what is happening in the Southwest Regional League there, but what is your conclusion going by what's happening? Njalakwan Sports Academy says, okay, we are closing down our school, and is also resigning from FECAFOOT.
Well, I think the decision for Jalakwan Jr. to have resigned from FECAFOOT could be personal. And they say he that puts on the shoes know where it pinches.
Pinches, yeah.
So I think at this level we don't have a say in his decision, because definitely you cannot understand what he's going through. There are decisions individuals will take at times. You may want to look from a shallow point of view and give your own conclusion, but he who actually is in the situation understands better. And I don't think I have much to say with respect to that. But I know something bigger than the cricket must have visited the cricket for him to have taken such a very drastic decision. Because I'm very convinced that they all supported Samuel Eto'o Fees to become the president of FECAFOOT with the interest of also vying for their own position. That means the position he fought tirelessly also to achieve, and then suddenly he resigns from it, tells you that something bigger than the office has visited the office. So to me, I will reserve my comment with respect to that, and I think he has right to his opinion. The other challenge I have is that the letter he submitted to the president, the letter he wrote to the president.
19-page document.
Yes, he wrote to the president. The issue is, it was good. The content of the letter was good, but the error he made was that he did not send it as FECAFOOT. That was a personal affair. He was dealing with the FECAFOOT president. He didn't send it as a Southwest Regional Bureau of FECAFOOT. And that's the reason why the rest of the bureau members felt like they were neglected, they were kept aside. But he knew and must have had reasons why he wrote the letter personally to Samuel Eto'o Fees. Because when he wrote that letter, it was like something that was supposed to be treated at the background. But suddenly it came to the limelight. And because of that, the rest of the bureau members felt like, you are our boss in this thing. How come you are dealing with such an issue which is very, very serious without our knowledge? It means you sideline us. With respect to that, we also are going to sideline you and then walk along with the president. So to those who are looking at it from a shallow point of view, it looks like betrayal. Betrayal on the part of the Southwest Executive Bureau. But if you go to the nitty-gritty, you will discover that he also acted without the knowledge of the Executive Bureau. So I think that this is where that little misunderstanding comes in. But the error we make, as I told somebody yesterday, I say correction to an authority is rebellion. You don't correct an authority, you submit proposals to an authority. You only present your point to an authority. You don't order. Order in an authority is rebellion. You can't fight a system. A system is stronger than an individual. So I think he had very good idea, but the way he was passing the information across, that was where the trouble came. And now the people who have also been vying for his position took advantage of the scenario, and then, because it's politics, it's pure politics, there are people who are interested in where he's sitting, and they were looking for the slightest opportunity for him to make the slightest mistake. So I used to tell people that don't trust those who are around you, because everyone is interested in the office that you're occupying. They are looking for your biggest mistake. When you make that mistake, they will pass through it now then to finish with you. So that's what I think is happening right now, and there are things we cannot disclose in the public because they are for private use, private consumption.
The public wants to know what's happening. There is a lot of problems out there. Federation, I don't know. Emotional support to the president of Cameroon Football Federation, FECAFOOT, Mr. Samuel Eto'o Fees, from the football family of the Southwest region. The stakeholders of the beautiful game, football across the Southwest region, have expressed their support and taken a firm commitment to rally behind the vision of Mr. Samuel Eto'o, the president of Cameroon Football Federation, FECAFOOT. Considering his keen interest in the development of football across the Southwest region, his concern to our difficulties anyway are signed by so many persons. But when I go through this list, we have Fritz Ngeka Itoke, you should know him. Yeah. We have Tang Eno Magi, we have Foma Otto, Fifa Kobe, Ernest Njika, Michel Valerie, Nukinen, Issa Pius, you should know him. Yeah. He has played with the Lions. Jonah Benjamin Ikechuku, Jonas Konso. No, Mr. Konso, he has been with Mount Cameroon Football Club for forever.
Perfect.
Yes. But now, how do you look at this? Did we need to come up with a motion of support for President Samuel Eto'o Fees? Are we not going the CPDM way?
That's a very good question you're asking, Mr. Leo. I have been very keen on that development. I don't want to chew my words here, because we might at the end be cajoling wrong things. And you know, when a system is kangaroo, the kangarooism of that system triggers down. When the head of the fish is rotten, the tail, the pelvic, and the fins themselves also have a problem. Now, this thing is very clear. Mr. Leo, if we look at the way the things are unfolding, I decided to come up because I said for this kind of dirty politics in sports in the Southwest, I must have a say. You see, I've had bitter discussions with persons before we even came on board, Mr. Leo. Eto has done good. Eto has done this. Eto has done what the police have done. We are not refusing. It is his duty. If others did not do that, they failed woefully, because as the mandate of a president of FECAFOOT, one of the objectives is to ensure a smooth running of the league and the living and accommodating conditions of those who are involved in the football family. It's like if President Pobia builds a school here, you start singing a song that's built. It is his responsibility to provide education to the people. Sometimes I don't see how people will be dancing run around because President Pobia has opened a school in Wabane. He has given a presidential decree for a school to be opened in Kum Council area and all the like. No! This is where we all get it wrong, and that is where we must correct the errors. Now, if you look at the politics that we have now, I said something is wrong somewhere. Mr. Leo,
yes.
In football, money is involved. Even if before a tour is shuffled, it's such that monies that are sent to the clubs, presidents have to show proof of proper usage and all the like. Before then, I'll tell you that even the presidents themselves, some of them were selling even their properties to sustain that football. I will tell you, as somebody who was very close to Pa Young and the Young Sport Academy and all the like, the amount of money that was coughed out continuously was a call for concern. It is true, President Eto'o came in and some things have been ameliorated. But my worry here is that we don't take the good things that somebody does and then cover the bad things that have happened, and then we start singing praises and thinking that we want to run him down. The bitter truth in this issue in the Southwest is that there has been match fixing and wrongdoings for football operations in the Southwest. They should watch me. I'm not talking about them out. I will not cajole them. If we have evidence of match fixing, my problem here, I keep saying this, if you were in the shoes of Njelakwan Jr., Mr. Leo, looking at the open frustration, you might even stab somebody before the police comes to hold you.
Of course.
Because it was done in broad daylight. Now you look at it, that Njelakwan Sport Academy that has stood the test of time in the Southwest region, making Southwest region proud of football, out of a sudden wants to be extinct by some vampires in disguise. And you expect that president of that club, who spends money day in, day out, sleepless night and all the like, to sit and watch? I listened to Apostle Ambe, who spoke right, that he wrote a letter, it did not pass, maybe it was not like the Southwest Professional Southwest Football League, that's FECAFOOT and all the like. But you know, he has double capacity. I would tell you that his actions that he put in place were as the president of Njelakwan Sport Academy in the first place, not in the capacity as the vice president of FECAFOOT. That's the first thing you should hold. Now, in that capacity, you realize that he could act Ota Vares, which means that, as I said, those who are presidents of football associations, they know how much it takes to maintain players, calm them, feed them when they are sick, team doctors, you have to take care of all the like. Now, when the thing came up, while he came up, we realized that it is true, Njelakwan Jr. is fourth vice president. At the same time, is the president of Njelakwan Sports Academy. But to have the kind of red cards and the game that took place, he said, no, Njelakwan Jr. is only acting because of that president. Has been there. The media was 90. I used to go there and just sit and watch. And so when these things occur, the most disturbing aspect, Mr. Leo, is that what happens to coffee can equally happen to cocoa at any time. Now, a man cries foul, because he has been cheated and booted out of the show in a rude manner. And instead of colleagues, knowing that it is our wish to protect football in the Southwest and give it its befitting facelift, we instead go behind and cocoa later. I call this hungry and greedy football stakeholders in the Southwest. I will tell them over and over. I've gone through all the names. If you are in that list, and at a point in time you had once done well in football, this is where you have destroyed it. Because in other wine, they would have been at the level of Njelakwan Gino. Maybe to tell them, no, you overreacted. Can you take it easy? All right, let's rally and tell the president these things went wrong. That would have prompted President Samuel Eto'o to put a commission of inquiry. If we had this number of cards, never seen the history of football in the Southwest. It means that even the advisors around Eto'o have malaria. They too are kangaroo officials. And I tell you that these things have a long history, Mr. Leo. Because when you tell me that out of 18 executive positions in FECAFOOT, just one, the fourth vice president, comes to Njelakwan. Look at it critically. This motion of support we're seeing here should have been motions of please. We think that we should have more representation in these things so that we should be able to address our worries more. But on the contrary, because all those who wrote that motion of support during this period are bootlickers, they are looking for peanuts. I will tell you over and over, if anybody on this table cajoles you, you are bootlickers because you are looking for one few francs to go and collect from Mr. Eto'o to tell him that he's a good president. That's why, Mr. Leo, you are a boss here. If you have staff who come to you generally, boss, sincerely, I'm not happy what you did, those are real staffs you have. Because they are instead happy to say, but the ones who come and tell you, you are the best director general so far we have ever seen, this and that, you have to be watchful. So in this case here, Mr. Leo, things are not going well for football in the Southwest.
Things are not going well.
And those who are honest enough should be able to put a letter.
Where do we place the blame? Is it the management of at the level of the Southwest Federation, or at the level of Samuel Eto'o?
The blames are two parts, Mr. Leo. One, the management of football in the Southwest were supposed to be, because there are administrative procedures. In the match fixing order, they were supposed to send official letters, correspondence to the president of FECAFOOT via his SG.
Independent of Njelakwan.
No, independent of Njelakwan.
Who is the direct? Yeah,
who is the direct?
To show that, yeah,
to show that things are not moving. They didn't do that. I will tell you, if you ask Njelakwan Gino one-on-one, he will tell you this is not the first time. And there are instances of those match fixing. If myself, as a judge, could hear a referee talking in the field there in Limbe, do you know has transpired order? This is a sport analyst here who can be able to give you instances of match fixing. So I think that what President Samuel Eto'o is to do, because I've seen his reply, because Samuel Eto'o has replied them through the NS Obama, the communication officer, of having received their letter, and he is grateful. They will try to see what they can do to ameliorate. But then that letter is coming, that reply is coming because this is the jargon and the chunk they sent to him. When we have burning issues in the Southwest region. So on the contrary, Mr. Leo, it would have been good during this period for them to have even spoken with Njelakwan Jr. Please, let's take it easy. Let's see how we can approach this matter. And then they have a joint front to tell him that, please, investigate this matter. Just like our brother said here, the referee of that match, Njelakwan is and that
dismissed.
In short, fired for life.
They should be suspended, okay?
But now if FECAFOOT has not made any statement, they are quick at suspending the fourth vice president. They are quick at sanctioning.
No,
the suspension came.
Yeah, but he resigned.
No, I'm not talking about resignation, Mr. Leo. I'm saying they were quick at suspending him without taking time to go through to find out. But même si la parole comme ça, mais il faut qu'on regarde l'affaire là au fond pour voir si il y a quelque chose. Two wrongs don't make it right. FECAFOOT has given us two wrongs.
Let's say this.
And so the wrongs continue with the football in the Southwest.
Mr. Ako, what is the problem? Is it the reaction of Njelakwan Jr. or the failure of the Southwest football family to cover him? There is some level of betrayal somewhere. Who betrayed who?
Yes, Leo, firstly, when we look at the issue of the Southwest Regional League stakeholders having a meeting with Samuel Eto'o, we should be asking ourselves if Njelakwan Jr. was invited for the meeting. Was he invited? That's a question that we need to look at. Then secondly, we need to ask ourselves if Eto needed motion of support in order to go in from the Southwest Regional Bureau, because I think that Eto won when Eto became president of the federation. He did not get any motion of support from any regional league. It was an issue of lobbying and getting the rightful executive members to give you their vote. So I kept asking myself if there was any need for a motion of support to be handed over to Eto, I saw it like in the Southwest we have identified a problem and we are being scared of being whipped, and we just need to rally behind the president so much so that we are being given a facelift. That said, when I looked at that the motion of support signed by President Daze Valerie, and I also looked at I think Etoke Fritz, I kept asking myself a question. I rarely find him in stadiums. We should be talking about people who go to the to watch games. We should not be talking about people who are more interested in administrative positions in the Southwest. Who has betrayed who, Leo, in terms of football in Southwest? Njalakwan, at the time, when he had not yet been fired as the president of as the fourth vice president of the federation, still stood at the time as the number one sportsman as far as football is concerned for the region. At the time, him being the fourth vice president was the first executive as far as football is concerned. So it therefore means that whatever has to be done in the region, he needed to be consulted as far as football is concerned, looking at the hierarchy of football activities in the region. Unfortunately, he was not being consulted. And later on, after that meeting, another letter was being issued where President Daze Valerie made it very clear that these are the persons who have been invited for that meeting. At that point, we could see that the fourth vice president for the federation was also invited, but it was stated that the executive members of the federation were also invited. It's rather a shame that we are where we are today, because Samuel Eto'o and Njalakwan Jr. are two fine gentlemen who worked extremely hard to see that Eto'o gets to power at the level of the federation. At the level of the regional league, Njalakwan Jr. called it the New Dawn. The New Dawn idea came up because Njalakwan, it was a very tough battle between him and the former president, Mr. Ndive. Njalakwan defeated Mr. Ndive and became the president of the Southwest Regional League. But as a result of the fact that he was appointed as the fourth vice president, he had to hand over the office based on the text of the federation. Reasons why Mr. Daze Valerie became president of the Southwest Regional League. It's a very sad scenario where what we are going through, because I would have expected, I've been expecting a lot from Njalakwan himself as well as Samuel Eto'o. I wanted to see a positive energy to flow among these gentlemen, but it's rather unfortunate that when we extrapolate as far as football in this nation is concerned, you can identify why some actions are going on. On face view, you might think that is an issue of this letter, but we need to ask ourselves the question, why the letter? Why did Njalakwan took so much energy to prepare a 19-page document to submit to his president? Why did Njalakwan went on air requesting that the president should step down? Those are the issues that we need to ask ourselves. What would have provoked Njalakwan Jr. to come out with such a declaration? Again, when we look at the game, before the game, Mr. Leo, during the symposium, remember that Njalakwan had a meeting with Samuel Eto'o and the president of Option Sports Academy, Mr. Neba Awanto, in the presence of Samuel Eto'o. Eto'o was there as a mediator. The question is, what is the problem between Njalakwan and the president of Option Sports Academy? Remember that the president of Option Sports Academy has been handed a 5-year ban, and it is the wife who is currently the president of Option Sports Academy. It means we are talking about a prior event to the mini interpose. It therefore means there was already a bad blood that had been accumulated. I remember when I saw Neba Awanto pass through where I sat. He didn't see me. He made a comment that this is football. When Jalakwan had been given, I think, about the number of red cards and the penalties, Awanto made his comment, this is football. The issue is, are we proud of the Southwest Regional League, and was there a need for such a motion of support? I would say no. I would say no. Eto doesn't need this to continue, because with Jalakwan already by Eto knew that he had the total support of Southwest region. Remember, Jalakwan's support gave him all his support, and even had discussions in order for Northwest to also align behind Samuel Eto before Eto could defeat Mbombonjoya. It therefore means Southwest already had aligned with the vision of Samuel Eto. So we needed not a scenario where motion of support is being handed to somebody who had already been given the blessings of Southwest. So that's why I kept saying that this motion of support doesn't have its place. 2, Njalakwan, has he actually betrayed Eto? I don't see a betrayal. I've been one of those who have been canvassing that there should be a change at the level of the federation. And ever since Eto came in, we have seen some positive changes. And we all applaud those positive changes. But when something starts going wrong, we need to sit backward and have a mirror image of what is happening. Where am I failing? There are areas where Eto has done excellently well. Look at the playoffs in Douala. I watched the playoffs in Garwa. I've watched the playoffs in Douala.
I was stuck in traffic around from Campter moving down towards SADP.
Perfect.
And I asked myself whether the Lions were playing. Sincerely, I had never seen that.
Yeah, there's that fanfare that has come back. People are going to the pitch. Look at what is happening today in football. Clubs receive about 48 million francs under Samuel Eto. The Elite 1 clubs, the Elite 2 clubs, those who won the Cameroon Cup receive about 50 million francs CFA, for which initially in the former regime it was, I think, about 10 million francs CFA when PWD of Bamenda won. Look at the disparity. Eto is bringing limelight in football in Cameroon. We all applaud that. Look at in terms of marketing. He's having a lot of companies that are coming in to support football in Cameroon. Look at female football. Whoever knew female football could have such popularity? Today, Guinness is sponsoring female football, and female footballers are also being paid monthly salaries, just like the male counterparts. We applaud Samuel Eto for all this positive impact he's creating. But what we should look at is, look at the mirror. When you are being told you're wrong somewhere, do not castigate because you have been told you're wrong. We know Njalakwan must have used an inappropriate way of presenting his facts. But what Eto would have done, in my opinion, if we need to sit in a round table, I would have told him that, listen, a letter has been addressed to you which was deemed confidential. Making that letter not confidential became a problem. Let a confidential information remain confidential, because when information is given to a third party, they distort the message behind the letter, because it's only the author of the letter who can properly tell you the message he or she is passing. So I think that Eto, who is the president of the federation, he has done so well, but we also need to understand that while we manage our different associations, there's also what we call crisis management. When it comes to crisis management, do not let it spill out to the public, because it doesn't enhance the image of Eto today. This letter doesn't enhance the image of Eto, neither does it enhance the image of Njalakwan. We are all suffering today because this is an inappropriate letter. This is an appropriate letter that is being managed in an inappropriate way and is destroying the image of football in this nation. We are talking about the referees. It would have been a pride for us Cameroonians to watch a Cameroonian referee be at the handled the finals of the African Nations Cup, for example. It's going to be a pride for this nation for us to see linesmen at the finals who are from Cameroon. But if our own referees start behaving this way, then we should not be expecting the good grains to go further. The question is, who are those bribing those referees?
Okay, please, I want us to clear this issue. We are talking about what is happening at the level of the Southwest Federation, but I want to clear this. Dear Mr. Leonard, do not forget that not good players are good leaders. Many people have been dismissed from FECAFOOT since Eto'o took over. What is happening at FECAFOOT is not new. It is the same thing everywhere in Cameroon. Eto'o needs a good manager. Queen Jacob from Kumbo. Is FECAFOOT worse than it was before Eto'o took over?
Well, when we look at, if we want to paint the image of Samuel Eto'o, I think that I'm going to give Eto'o, as we currently speak, Eto'o has been at the helm of the federation for 18 months now. It therefore means to whom much is given, much is expected.
Yeah.
It therefore means Cameroonians love Samuel Eto'o so much so that the coming of Eto'o was seen as a blessing for the federation, because we have been under the captive of Abdurrahman and Co. for so many years. Since 2009,
Where's Abdurrahman?
since 2009, we had, when Iya Mohammed was kicked out, we had Tombi Aroko came in, we got
normalization. We have
the first
two
and the second
normalizations.
normalization committees. Cameroonians were sick, and like I'll use the word of Bombonjoya, who said we have spent about 1.2 billion francs CFA in Lausanne for court cases, struggling to ensure that there is legitimacy at the federation. But unfortunately, that was not gotten because there was a violation of the text, the statutes of the federation. But when Eto'o came in, we have stabilized the issue of going to court at Lausanne as far as the legitimacy of the federation is concerned. It therefore means going forward, any individual after the mandate of Samuel Eto'o will be a legitimate president. That is a positive mark that Eto'o has cemented at the level of the federation going forward. Look at the Guinness League. Those who follow female football, Guinness is pumping in money as far as female football is concerned. We are talking about Cameroon Football Female League today, but initially it wasn't the case. Remember, even MTN had even withdrawn from sponsoring the Elite One to the extent that General Pierre Semenge was in total difficulties. But since Eto'o came in, we've had MTN is there. We have XBet that just joined in the sponsorship. Camtel is there. Guinness is there. And many other companies are still willing as far as the marketing aspect is concerned. We are not here to talk about Eto'o, but there are aspects that he is doing. We are talking about Club Elite One presidents who have received about 48 million francs CFA this year, which initially club presidents were receiving far less than what they are receiving today. But unfortunately, those same club presidents, like Oliver Twist will say, they keep asking for more. But when you're asking for more, the actors of football today in Cameroon are not complaining. That is, the players. Because a system had been devised so much so that players could be more comfortable. Players in Cameroon today talk about having an insurance coverage. Players in Cameroon today are sure that they can receive a monthly salary. But it's thanks to Samuel Eto'o. Remember, Bombonjoya had signed a communique sometime saying that the minimum salary wage for players should be 36,000 francs CFA, and most clubs were paying players peanuts as salaries. But today with Eto'o, he has ensured that players are receiving a considerable amount of money as salaries to improve upon the life of players. There are so many good things that Eto'o has brought in to develop football in Cameroon. But the aspect of football, the mafia behind, is what is killing our football. That is,
okay.
Today, before I stop, Mr. Leo, permit me, you realize that the Club President Association, headed by Pascal Abundi, for example, there's a faction. There is a faction that came out, the faction which is being managed by people like Faustin Donke, and this other faction are mostly club presidents that have been sanctioned who are in this other faction. And you now realize that why is it that club presidents are always having issues because of lack of conformity. If you don't respect the governance policies of football as prescribed by CAF and FIFA, going forward, you will not be listed as an Elite One club in Cameroon. We want a change, but in as much as we are talking about a change, Eto should also accept that there are other areas that are gray in his own management style, which I think that we need to discuss on that.
Okay. Yes. Now, let's look at the decision by Njalakwan Jr. First, they issued a communique on the 29th, and then this other communique on the 3rd, and then finally resigning, closing down Njalakwan Sports Academy. By your judgment, was it the best way?
No, I would not accept that.
Okay.
I am not the manager of Njalakwan Sports Academy, but to the best of my understanding, that Njalakwan Sports Academy did not start with Njalakwan Jr. It is a legacy. And I think if at all he's going to keep that thing, not because of him, he should keep it for the legacy of his father. That was one of his father's greatest treasures, which he valued so much and gave that institution all the attention that it needed. And we came to know Njalakwan exceptionally in that particular academy. As a matter of fact, nothing has sold Njalakwan's family image than that particular sports academy. And I think that if at all there is anything he's going to keep as a legacy for his father to be remembered for generations to come, it should be that sports academy. Njalakwan Sports Academy has been a sports academy that most young persons in Cameroon have found their way in the milieu of football. It has also, yes, in deep time that we saw in the national team that played the Gabon 2017 World Cup, Nations Cup, and Cameroon became victorious. It's from that academy. It came.
Five Collins passed through there.
Five Collins passed. I don't know if you could name along.
No.
Okay, it's best stars. So that's a very great academy. And if we are talking about football academy in the Southwest region, I don't think there is any other football academy in the Southwest region than Njalakwan Sports Academy. So I don't think you allow your emotion to override your reason. I don't think you allow anger, bitterness to override your sense of reason. I think you should be able to have some certain level of emotional intelligence at the way you are managing the crisis. Do not allow a stick of match to burn down a forest. Try to control the flame, because the flame is burning and touching even areas that do not deserve. I don't see how Njalakwan Sports Academy should be touched or affected by the maltreatment from the referee who maltreated them in the football match. Leave that academy for the children who are coming up. There is a generation that is rising through that academy, and that academy is contributing immensely for the growth of football in this nation and the world at large. So I think even if you are not going to use it as an academy again to play football league, use it as a training ground to move footballers. If you are not selling them in the nation, sell them out of the nation. I don't think closing down Njalakwan Sports Academy is a good idea. In addition to what I'm talking now right now, I also want to encourage Njalakwan Jr. to understand that things like that happen, and they only help to build you and get you stronger. You've come to understand that football in the Southwest region is no longer based on skill, talent, and ability. It's now based on who knows who and who knows what. And you must understand that the office you're occupying is a juicy office, and there are a lot of detractors who are interested in that office also, and they will do everything possible to frustrate you. A leader is known in moments of crisis. This is where you have to put all your leadership tentacles on the ground and make sure you give this particular situation the best attention needed and manage it in such a way that they can look after you for the next few years to come. You have just lost a battle, not a war. There is still a light. There is still hope if you look at the horizon. If you manage this crisis very well, they may look at you and want to. I'm a political consultant and analyst, and I've always touched some areas. Good luck, Abele Jonathan definitely was cheated in the 2015 elections in Nigeria, and look what was a defeat. But the way he managed the circumstance, today most countries in the world consult him to guide them in the domain of democracy, and they have named him as the father of democracy in Nigeria because he managed a circumstance. It looked like he was losing, but in that circumstance he built an image that gave him the recognition even at the level of ECOWAS So please, I think it's very important for you to know how to manage this situation very well. Do not allow your anger to override your sense of reason. Njalakwan Sports Academy is a treasure, is a legacy, not for the Southwest Football League, but for entire Southern Nation Cameroon. And if you puncture that academy, you close it down, you have closed down the destiny of all those young men like Ndip Tambe who came through that institution to come to shine across to other nations of the world. Please, we are let me put the word soliciting that you reconsider your decision over Njalakwan Sports Academy. And you have to understand that this is just a particular regime. Etofis will not stay in office forever. That team fighting against you will not stay in office forever. The group of persons who are fighting against you will not stay. You are a young man. You still have aspirations. These people will pass away, and you may come out, and if you come out far more better off than what is happening right now. Do not allow a situation to turn you into something else.
Now, somebody's writing from the UK says, "This good evening, Mr. Leo. This matter is a slap to the people of the Southwest region. The government should intervene before it goes sour." Ghislaine is writing from the UK. Is this an issue of Njalakwan or that of the Southwest? Because please, whoever is watching, there is a communique here signed by members of the Southwest Football League. These are the signatures. I think that they are dissociating themselves from the stance of Njalakwan Junior. So I don't know. A slap. I don't understand how it's a slap.
Yes. Before I get to your,
because these are all stakeholders of the football family in the Southwest.
Yeah, before I get to that, Leo, I just want to read the last paragraph in the press release that was made. He said, we do not, however, exclude the possibility of resuming our football operation once the condition necessary for equitable and fair competition is established." Now, that is the paragraph that caught my attention about beyond all the brouhaha that we have been experiencing. It therefore means there's a possibility that Njalakwan Junior might reopen the doors of Njalakwan Sports Academy, like Pastor Ambe did say. It's a wish, it's the legacy of Njalakwan himself. However, Mr. Leo, going back memory lane, you need to ask yourself the question: why was Njalakwan Sports Academy opened by Njalakwan himself? At the time, we all knew that Njalakwan was the president of Opopo. Njalakwan was the president of Opopo. When there was this cacophony in the management of Opopo, that's when Mr. Henry Njalakwan decided to open an academy to dissociate himself from Opopo, which at the time was deemed a popular side club, and decided to start grooming children. So, like the apostle did say, we are calling on Njalakwan Jr. to ensure that the legacy of Mr. Henry Njalakwan should definitely continue. Coming out to your question, Leo, that the other persons dissociating themselves from Junior, it's all about positioning.
They're eyeing his position.
It's all about positioning, because we are at a time when Njalakwan, based on I think Article 40 of the Executive Committee Constitution, states that when there is lack of confidentiality in the management of football, management of information at the executive level, you are being suspended from all activities of the federation. But reasons why he was suspended on that perspective, because an executive committee meeting was held online in the presence of 5 executive committee members, and 4 voted for the suspension of Njalakwan Jr. Reasons why he was being suspended the following day. But he came out with his own press release stating that he had definitely resigned from the federation after that suspension. So when we look at it, these other gentlemen who came out with, these other stakeholders who came out with the communique to align themselves with the president, that is the motion of support. Like I did say, Eto doesn't need this motion of support. Southwest, the current mandate under Njalakwan, had already aligned to Samuel Eto. But the issue now is some of these individuals who have different motives.
Who is heading the federation in the Southwest?
Ndaze Valerie. He is the president of Sinodev, the owner of Sinodev.
For a very long time, I know Ndaze. And all of this cacophony is happening under who?
Under Ndaze Valerie. Because
So-
Njalakwan is an executive president. He is no more at the Southwest Regional League.
Yeah, but they work together, Ndaze and
Of
Njalakwan.
course, because when you are at the executive committee, you become the #1 sports football person in the region. But when you are the executive committee, your position is handed over to somebody at the region, because
Yes,
Ndaze was the vice president.
now, are we not chasing shadows? Because the real guys are around, the crocodiles are around the Southwest region, and almost nobody's talking about them, and everybody's talking about Yaoundé. These issues, these match fixing issues, are they coming from Yaoundé or from the Southwest?
No, the match fixing issues, Mr. Leo, they don't come from Yaoundé. But you bear
But
with
why are people not indexing that you are in charge of this, you are in charge of the ethics commission in the Southwest region? Why don't we get these persons out there?
Now, as I said, we look at the way it's happening. It will not go the way we think, because, as I said, it has been politicized.
Okay.
I'm sorry to say that. They know what I'm talking about. Now, when I say it has been politicized, you realize that the real agenda is that people have their positions where they want to take in the Southwest regional. That's in the Southwest Football League in particular. Positions over them. So in those positions, the main thing is that those who have the possibility, because there are camps, because as you see them moving, the day that a club president who is in a particular camp suffers from match fixing, the grammar will change.
Of course.
You will hear another letter again coming out.
Yes.
So it's because they have not been touched, and as I said, the issue is carefully worked out. How do we bring down A so that we can maintain our position? And the reality in the whole analysis, Mr. Leo, is that in the football in the Southwest, it means that there is a team that wants to determine those who will be at the top. And that is why referees too that they bring in, they have also their own role to play. It's like on the instructions. They are being teleguided. And so that is where you see that if you look at Junior coming in, because I said, with Jalakan coming in, the procedures of probably wanting to go to the house, look at him, we ask the question. If people are blaming him, the procedure he used is wrong, which we all know that, I'm saying why he would have gone this way. But remember that a confidential letter was sent. And that confidential letter was not treated as per se.
It wasn't confidential.
So you realize that you get to a point whereby I sent a confidential letter to Apostle Ambe knowing that we are colleagues. And at the point in time, he leaks it to somebody.
Yeah.
Next time, I will know if I send a confidential letter, he will not take it serious. So the best is that I should hold in with him on the street. Fire. You realize that
to mess up and bring order in the flow of family Southwest region. The message
very clear. When you say mess up, it means that
mess up and bring
so you see that he wants to mess up more and again. At the same time, I asked the question right. Nobody's asking a question here, but was there any aspect of match fixing in the first place? Let us find out.
Yeah.
but
Now all the red cards that were given,
nobody is talking
all
about
the
it.
red cards that were given, let's really find out were these red cards really joining at the penalties that were given. Now nobody's asking this one. So you discover that it's a whole mafia team that was worked out. And so at the end of it, on the other hand, I call it betrayal because on the other hand, I call the other team betraying him instead, because instead of them rallying behind him that no, where we have this, let us go to President Eto'o also, so he should come and find out who are those who are involved in this, because you said something here which is quite normal. Those who formulated this letter, they know those who are involved in the match fixing.
Of course not.
Mr. Leo, it's a reality. If you meet them one-on-one, they will tell you that we know the game that is going on. It's like you are in a team and then you don't want to align in a particular way. what they call you black legs, like in the crisis. Once you don't want to move, probably with the non-state armed actors, you can't be black leg. Now, if you are in the CPD, you don't want to move. I mean, you somebody who is in the CPDM doesn't want to move the other way. They call him Sajina or Tongtina. So you have. So those things that's a reflection. The issue we're finding here in the football is a reflection of what is happening in the states in general. And so it's calling for concern, because we are saying here. That's why I said that after everything, you ask a question. Why is it that we are not targeting or finding out from those on the ground?
Nobody's saying
anything.
On the
other hand, Mr. Leo, on the other hand, you realize that the leader also has a role to play, because sometimes when you're a leader, you bear the shot. The shot in that's why I said that if President Eto'o
remember, I asked a question: Who is heading the federation in the southwest? We hear very little about. Is that not where the bullets should be going? Because if now everybody focuses on Samuel Eto'o,
we miss the target.
The mafia continues.
The mafia continues. You're right. And sometimes, too, as I'm saying, if the mafia continues, Mr. Leo,
absorbs them from what they are doing.
That's why I said that if we had a good technical advisor around Eto'o, it would have been that not attack. The gens là veulent the truth or no.
He should send.
Okay, just like what President Pobia did of recent.
A commission of inquiry.
A commission of inquiry, because he has the power. Now, in order to clean my name, because everybody is calling me, sometimes even a communique from the communication department will come out that he is not a party to what is happening in the South, but however, he has tried to put a commission of inquiry who will deliver the results of what is happening in the South within this period. And then at the end of that commission of inquiry, they cannot have a peace, a reconciliation meeting. If we have this technically, Mr. Leo, even this thing that you see, Angela Kwan Jr. is closing down the academy and all the like, which is not permanent, because if things are done, sometimes too, as a junior man, or as a junior or as a subordinate, sometimes there are some drastic measures you take when you are seemingly losing confidence in your boss. Now, a technical boss will decide to stoop low, not because the boss is foolish, but the boss will decide to stoop low and then come out and tell you. I told somebody today that if I were President Samuel Eto'o or the advisor, I would tell him, in as much as you were in Limbe, Angela Kwan Jr. was not in that meeting, which is really an error. Yes. If I were him, I would fire after some 4 days, let his temper cool first, calm. Yes. I don't make a comment, because the good thing I'll thank President Eto'o is that he has not made any official comment like responding to Angela Kwan Jr., which is professionally correct. But if I was his advisor, I will simply wait after his temper has gone down, about 5 days. I don't think Samuel Eto'o knocks on his door in Bonjo there. He will say, no, I don't want to see you. He will eventually open. When he opens, he said, but this thing we have brothers. Why? Before you know it, Mr. Leo, they will be tracing where those marks fishing are coming out. Yes, and sometimes even means that top executive members of the league in the Star Wars are involved. They be sanctioned because nobody is above the law in FECAFOOT. That's my own way I'm looking at it. But then, that's why I said people who surround you matters, Mr. Leo. If you have people who are kangaroo inclined around you, you see that you might have a good idea, because like what the sport analyst says here, Samuel Eto'o, he has done things in a very short time that several presidents have not done for over 20 years. That's true. It is true, everybody has his flaws. Yeah. We don't have a society of angels. So, but the good thing is that he has done some things which we think that we have seen it visible on the ground. You will not have players getting on strike that they're not playing because of this and that. In the Southwest, if you see players not coming to the field, not that there's a match fixing, not that they are disgruntled. Either the president said, no, let's not go so that they should win by forfeiture, and then the other person should get those points as we have agreed, so that we know how to sail through. So, but there is a problem that we think that to get the image of Southwest back on board, if all those who are doing the motion of support are not helping matters, the question is, what is the president of the Southwest Regional League of FECAFOOT doing? Because sometimes you can call a shot. No, to say that, okay, let us start inquiring before the president comes in.
This is a scandal that happened in the Southwest region.
Of course. In borderline.
Yes, we have seen signatures here.
Many.
I don't know. Is this to say that nothing happened? What is the essence?
This is typical of the Anglophone man. You see this camera? I'm looking like this. This is typical of the Anglophone. I mean, this is a demonstration of the Anglophone man. I don't think if this thing were to happen in West Region, the rest of the Executive Bureau will sign this motion of support and kick out the person that happens to be their representative at the National Bureau. That is betrayal at the highest level. I've been singing this thing, that we Anglophones, the way we handle some things sometimes, you will sideline a brother, somebody who was the regional president of FECAFOOT, You were his vice president number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And then suddenly he enters into a shock. You persons who were working with him, that tells me that as regional president of FECAFOOT, you guys were practically praying for something evil to happen to him.
Yes.
But unfortunately for you, he was promoted at the national level. Now, you now got so angry, the slightest opportunity, because they used to say, it is when you are in crisis, you know who is a friend and who is a foe. As a matter of fact, this thing has only come to expose the company that has been hanging behind Jalakwan Jr. for all the years past. Since he resumed office as president of FECAFOOT at the regional level, to be sincere, from the vice presidents who have been hanging around in the so-called executive bureau, none of them were with him. None of them, because this incident has demonstrated clearly that those people were hanging around him, looking for the slightest opportunity for him to make a mistake or use it. How do you explain? I think even if they kept quiet, it would have been better.
It would have been honorary.
The rapid nature with which they used to sign this thing tells me that they were putting the last nail. They say, Eto, you have cleaned the coffin. You have not nailed it. Let us do the final baptism. That was the last nail they put on the coffin. I think this guy right now should be able to understand that those who smile with him are not actually with him, because they have exposed their greed, they have exposed their lack of commitment. Let's assume the fact that these people were representing the Anglophones at the national level. Are they going to betray the man who stands at the forefront? Because I think that Njala Kwan is representing the Anglophones at the national level of the FECAFOOT. Now, if our own who is representing us has a little problem at that level, it is our responsibility to either pray for him, encourage him, or stay quiet, rather than suddenly isolating ourselves from him and leaving him to stand in the middle. This is typical of the Anglophone man, and this is the reason why we are suffering till today. This thing has once more demonstrated or manifested again in this football area. I sang this thing many years ago, and my videos are circulating that we Anglophones are the ones that butcher each other and kill each other. How do you explain that? Somebody who is representing us, that is to say, if at all somebody is carrying worries from the Southwest Regional League to the National Bureau, it should be Njala Kwan Jr., because he has the opportunity to sit in executive meetings there where regional presidents don't have access to those meetings. Now, if at all there was a cry at the regional level, that is the person you are supposed to be, that things are not going well, our budget has not been disbursed, this has not been given to us, these are the right Africa for us to go. He was the one, he's the one supposed to carry us. Okay, I am representing the Southwest as a member of the executive bureau. This is what my regional league president is complaining. The executive bureau, the team presidents are complaining. This is, I think that man is an envoy from the Southwest, the national bureau. Yet he has a little clash at the national bureau. You so-called members who are behind him sideline him within 24 hours. Write a motion of put pen down your signatures. That is typically the nature of the Anglophone man. Not to be trusted, not even once.
Now, Leo, let me tell you something.
Okay.
Those who have written this letter, I feel so disheartening.
You should be disheartened,
because this shows the lack of charisma from Daze Valerie, who is the president of Southwest Regional FECAFOOT, because he himself is a club president, and he, during the symposium, it was said during the symposium that he likes to use the ball boys from his own club rather than other clubs. But yet he is signing such a motion.
It's terrible.
I don't encourage this. I'll give you the second name. When I see Fritz Etoke, my very good friend, how often does Fritz go to the stadiums to watch games?
That's a question.
How often does he go to the stadium? When I look, the third name, Madam Eno Mani Rosta, it makes me laugh. I've been to Manfe. What's how buoyant is the league, the divisional league in Manfe? When I see when I look at names like Len Eme, there was a serious complaint against Len Eme, who is the coach of Isosa, during the symposium. Because during the symposium it was an opportunity for people to air out their views, their worries. But unfortunately, people who had a lot of issues on that day of the symposium, they have signed a motion of of support. It means that they are not even willing to go and correct the mess at their own level. So I feel so disheartening that they had to write this letter. In my opinion, they would have instead sat with Jalakwan to discuss at the regional level, and we have a common consensus, so that when Eto comes, we now present to him a discussion that had been held unanimously by all the sports stakeholders in the Southwest, so that we are working together. Because this, Mr. Leo, with this approval, it therefore means we are bound to have problems in Southwest for the next 10 years.
It means we are not ready to look into the. Yes, are we saying yet that the match fixing and
this Jalakwan Jr. had seen this thing earlier, because in the confidential letter there is something he said. He said on ending battles for control and supremacy in the different regions of the country, which is greatly affecting grassroots football.
Very correct.
These battles for supremacy is what is affecting the football at the grassroots. People are more interested in where to occupy, not the game. We are organizing this football to bring out talents and skills that can be able to help better the nation's football as well at the international stage. Now, administrative posts and responsibilities is more important than the game itself. The politics in the game is more stronger than the game. Now, the game is using its flavor, the game is doing its attraction, because people are more interested in the office. Worst of it, the persons who are in the political terrain of this game are not players.
That is
they are killing the game.
That is the most disturbing aspect.
They are killing the game. Politics has taken. Oh, that's why I said anybody who escapes from politics, you will meet it. Because even the plate of rice you are eating,
even in church, politics is there, so you just have to go with it. Now, Mr. Lu, you imagine that if you look at what the other 11 club presidents said now, you imagine that we have club presidents. You know, they are into camps. The one that they were trying to write to FIFA, you know, requesting the resignation. If you look at their names here, you have Bala Ongolo Henry Claude. You have Mbutu Jean Marcel, you have Dedi Mbenge Francois, you have Nana Saleng, you have Kar Nango, you have Ze Akono Honore. Now, these are persons who have their own worry. Now, but when you look at it, is that persons could not be having their worry, which they think that is draining to them. And then you are in the Southwest. The football issue, which is what will even bring us peace, because if you look at it, as I said sometime, the other match that took place over the weekend in Moliko Stadium, we were even surprised. And I think that the amount of money they raised was even surprising as get taken there. It was quite very interesting to tell you that people are now saying that football now, especially in our region, is like a cure. It's like a solution to peace.
Of course.
Now, these are persons that are not looking at that direction, because the problem is they bring down syndrome aspect. Or pulling down syndrome.
Yes,
that's what is occurring here, because you will not even understand the rationale that we were expecting. Now, if the president of the Southwest FECAFOOT is here, as we find his signature there, would I be expecting him to say that, okay, a communique comes out, because of what transpired between this match, we will send a commission of inquiry. You must not wait for President Eto to come in this case, because at his discretion in the Southwest, he could take that aspect.
Of course.
That because there's a complaint here, knowing fully well it's coming from a president. Let's forget about fourth vice president. It's coming from a president who is under his jurisdiction at the level of presidency in the Southwest. He would have been able to put a communicator from this. We are putting a commission of inquiry. Give us some time, we'll see what to do. Now, the referees are going scot-free. This is which kind of body like.
Inquire what?
The referees are going scot-free. The linesmen, whosoever is involved.
You are asking them to inquire what they are part of.
Anyway, you have a point too. The presidents themselves too, who are. So everything is, but it's a call for concern. Something needs to be done for us to revamp this image.
Stephen Mwambo has this to say. Says, is the problem in the Southwest and Bumbunjuya of visible corruption and match fixing in the region? Why has the region stakeholders remained mute about the terrible refereeing that we saw in the first leg between Jalakwan Sports Academy versus Kumba City Football Club? Exactly what I've asked here, because we are chasing the shadow, because almost everybody is talking about Yaoundé, but the crocodiles are there.
They are just watching.
Nobody's talking about them. But it goes for us. But yes, but is the issue about the presidency of FECAFOOT or match fixing?
The issue is we have a match fixing game in Southwest for which the president of the Southwest Regional League has been quiet on that. That is the reasons why I keep saying that Daze Valerie doesn't have the charisma to manage the Southwest Regional League, because in a game which was so glaring and obvious in the eyes of almost all the spectators,
Outright
even
manipulation.
people from
Outright.
Kumba, were shocked in the outcome of the game. And the president of the Southwest Regional League is still quiet to date. I find that so worrisome.
He signed this?
On the contrary, he went out to sign, to endorse a motion of support. That is problematic to me. It's a game where I'll take you back to the symposium. In the symposium, we said there is match fixing in Southwest. And I raised up a point, and I supported my facts with the game Option Sports against Prisons Football Club of Boya in the Boya Town Green Stadium. It was so obvious on that day that it was a fixed match in favor of Option Sports. Those in and the president of the referee commission responded to my worry by saying that firstly, that referee has been sanctioned, and secondly, that we should not be looking at the referee for match fixing. We should be looking at those who have been discussing with the referees to fix the game. It therefore means there is a problem beyond the referee. It therefore means there are some club presidents who have understood that in order to go places, they need to discuss with the referee and fix their games. Reasons why some individuals did not show up for that symposium, because they knew they have been part and parcel. And the president of the referee commission of Southwest said during the symposium that among the club president, if there is any who had given him money, should denounce. But he can also pinpoint club presidents who are involved in negotiating with referees. I would quote the president of Al Jazeera Football Club of Tico, who stated that there are games that a referee tells him that he is not going to win.
You can imagine.
Before the game, the referee tells you, the president of a club, that your club is not going to win. It therefore means there is a problem in Southwest which we need to clean before looking at the National Federation.
It goes to the administrative bureau, because that is where sanctions are supposed to be meted on the individuals who are doing such outright manipulation.
Excellent.
So it means that the disciplinary council or the executive bureau, they are not doing their job.
If they're not doing, it means either they are part of it or they're just negligent.
Negligent.
I'm not sure that there's
negligent.
negligence. We are talking
But let's look at this issue.
Yeah.
It is serious that Njalakwan Sports Academy is set to be dissolved or suspended for now, and Njalakwan Junior resigns from
vice president
from FECAFOOT Bureau, and seemingly nobody is looking at where the real problem is. Are you not shocked that even the press is not looking into the possible source of this problem?
Yes, you know, the issue we
Why is the attention on something else? Nobody wants to solve this problem. That, okay, who are these referees who are involved? They should be brought to the public and then shamed and sanctioned. Who are the officials involved? We have seen what we have seen in Italy. Clubs sanction, officials sanction. We've seen that.
Of course.
Why are we shielding
maybe I just
us here?
at the level of why the press is lukewarm, Mr. Leo. They are my colleagues, they are watching. I will tell you that we, at a point in time, we have sold journalism. That is the truth. I will now hide it from you. Now, you realize that if you have a newspaper, you write good articles about it too, I'm not hiding that from you. Process it at the FECAFOOT area and you get the payments of the bill. You raise your bill, your voucher, and send there, and you get it done. Now, we are at a level whereby, because of the economic situation of the country, most of us media men want to go to where it's juicy than go in for where it is newsworthy in terms of investigation. Now, a journalist will tell that if I go down to be carrying other investigation, how much do I get? But he will quickly want to go to a president who probably is doing some funny things, whereby after the interview you will get some few crumbs and things back. That's the truth. They might be angry with me, I'm sorry to say that. And these things are explaining why we were expecting the press to have taken headlines of this kind of issue.
Yes.
But then you will not find it, because if Eto visits Southwest for a meeting, no, all of them carries the headlines of Eto who visits Southwest to reform Southwest football. When the thing goes the other way around, because that's where the objectivity ceases. If not, in as much as you are praising somebody, If it's not going, you could equally pinpoint. You instead help the person to sit up. But in a case where you keep pressing, now this is an example of this, and I will tell you that we, at the level of the press, we are failed because we were supposed to have taken the relay. If we had taken like our captions differently, like the program you are handling here, I'm sure that
who are the referees involved? Who are the officials involved? We want to know them,
because I could even start that assignment. I'll give you that. I'll get the assignment within 7 days. I'll get to it, because unless they refuse to tell me, but I'll know how to get to it. But then this is where the news is, because chasing Eto, yes, he's the leader, just like what you are saying. But the issue is in the Southwest.
It's a problem.
Now, if it's in the Southwest, my worry now is if we have a president who is in charge of football in the Southwest. Now, why is he quiet up till now? Why is he instead busy with his entourage signing the letters to instead disassociate themselves from Angela Kwan Jr. and saying people want to mess up football in the Southwest? In real sense, I will tell that those who wrote these letters are the ones who want to mess football in the Southwest, because this motion of support will not correct the errors we're talking about here.
Of course.
It will not correct it. But if they addressed it together, like what the sport analyst said here, talking with Angela Kwan Jr. and then finding a solution and writing as a team, I'm sure that Eto even would have come in, and even before writing, the president of Southwest football would have started his own inquiry before waiting for national inquiry to come in. But then you see that with this mafia, the thing is clear. I want to align with the sport analyst. If we don't tackle this issue as they are, I am sorry, this football in the Southwest might be going down the drain as far as these persons are still there until they leave. And so we need to address, and we say you hit the iron while it is still hot.
There is a problem. Actually, I don't know whether you are coming in or him. How did Njala Kwan Jr. become foot vice president of FECAFOOT?
The National Bureau has 18 executive members. And there is, first of all, the disgruntlement from the Anglophone angle that it is only one Anglophone that is in that 18-member executive bureau. Angela Kwan happens to be the only individual who was from the Anglophone extract.
Yeah, but how did he get there?
That's what I'm letting you understand now. He was the president elected in the Southwest Football Regional Bureau.
Yeah. Then what is the picture? Are we not from here discovering that there was, since he was made fourth vice president, there was a divide between himself and the league? Because how do you explain that few days after this incident, the entire family comes together to say, some people, see, I don't know, the description that is given, some people want to mess up and bring disorder. How can the fourth vice president of the federation be described as someone who wants to mess up and bring disorder in the league? Is this not an eloquent proof that there was a disconnect already between himself and the league? Guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Leo. Njala Kwan became president of the Southwest Regional League under the Eto mandate, and he actually defeated Mr. Ndive and became the president for Southwest Regional League. It was a very tight battle between him and Mr. Ndive. So between that period, I think that the after electoral crisis started. And some people still haven't stomached the fact that they were booted out of the Southwest Regional League Bureau. That's the first issue. Secondly, Njala Kwan became, after being elected as the president of the Southwest Regional League, he had to move over as an executive member of the federation when Eto actually won and was constituting his executive team. Because remember that he, Njala Kwan Jr., and the entire Southwest threw their weight behind Eto in order for Eto to win at the national level. And as a result, he was then appointed as one of the vice president of the national level. Now, when you look at Daze Valerie at the time, was the vice president for the Southwest Regional League, while Njala Kwan was the president. But when you look at Njala Kwan's stewardship in Southwest, he actually didn't stay as a president in the Southwest, because immediately he became president of the Southwest Regional League, he was then appointed.
Foot vice president.
So it therefore means at the level of the grassroots, Njalakwan did not create an impact for which he could be counting on. Today, the impact of Njalakwan in the Southwest is basically the things he has been doing as the fourth vice president, not as a president in the regional league. Daze Valerie has spent more time as a president in the Southwest Regional League, because when Njalakwan went up as the fourth vice president, he now became president of the Southwest Regional League. Reasons why he has more closeness with the executive committee in the Southwest. So I'm not surprised why they had to use such a term like he wants to mess up. But again, they have to be very careful in the way they use some terminology. When we talk about messing up football, in all the clubs in Southwest, how many can attest that they have the infrastructural capacity as compared to Njalakwan Sports Academy?
That's true.
How many of them?
That's true.
When you look at all those clubs, Leo, most of them don't even meet the requirement of the federation as we speak.
I know some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them don't even meet. It means if Eto objectively goes down to Southwest, not more than 10 will qualify to be a club. Because they require, remember, Bambutus is having some problems now.
Yeah.
Because today, CAF has given criteria that should be met in order to be a club. And I can attest that with the exception of Mount Cameroon Football Club of Boya, Njalakwan Sports Academy of Limbe, and some few others, most of them don't even have training pitches. They use but the Sovesco field as their training ground. They use other pitches,
government school fields,
which but based on the criteria. So it's a shame to see that this same gentleman will write and use a terminology like they want to mess up South. So at the end of the day, I believe that for us to come out from this scenario, it is high time Eto, I think Senator Mbelamoki was talking about reconciling both the different factions. It's high time we sit as a family, firstly in the Southwest, to address the problem before meeting with Samuel Eto, because Eto is simply being given information by some of these gentlemen.
Because he's not there.
He's not on ground. Yeah. So we need a third party that will discuss with the different factions. I don't want to see Njalakwan Sports Academy being closed down, shut down, because of the kids who are playing there. They have a career. Eto became who he is today because he passed through Kaji Sports Academy. Yeah. So Njalakwan Sports Academy is a breeding ground for future Etos. So I would not want to see such an academy being shut down because of the current crisis that we are having. So it's a good initiative that Senator Mbelamoki talked about it, to reconcile the different parties. But again, even when the different parties are going to be reconciled, it is high time that Eto understands that there is problem in football which goes beyond decisions at the level of the national level. We need to come down to the regional level and understand how football is being played. What are those criteria to be eligible as a club president? What are those criteria to be eligible as a football club? So much so that clubs that don't meet those criteria should definitely be delisted from the federation. I want to remind you that Opopo is a composition of 3 clubs so many years ago that gave rise to Opopo that we have today. I don't need a plethoric of 29 clubs in Southwest. I don't need that. I need maximum 15 or 20 clubs for which they are serious and they have all the requirements, so that football in Southwest should remain the breeding ground for football in this nation. Okay.
When you see reading that you have the fourth vice president from the Southwest, and his club has a problem, and you see this, I want us to look at the disconnect between him and these guys. Was there some envy? Were they waiting for this opportunity? Did he? Because we expected that as fourth vice president, working with the National Bureau, his support, his base was supposed to be
from the region.
These guys, yes. But when you look at this,
Tinu Achebe say a man whose eyes on fire does not go about chasing rats. The subject of discussion was supposed to have been that referee.
that's it.
To even think of the fact that that man has not been sanctioned till now.
By these guys. Yeah.
It gives me, it's worrisome. Because I think what we're supposed to have been addressing right now was the person that brought this entire brouhaha.
Yeah.
The referee that referred the match that day is something, it's terrible. The man who spoiled that match in Limbe, where that anger came out of before, we are seeing, it's not even a subject there.
Yeah.
It's not even a subject.
We see here Kangana William, then assistant referees of Viva, the other is Ketagi, but that's what they give. Those are the names they're already telling us here.
I'm saying that that referee
right.
was supposed to be a topic of discussion now at the FECAFOOT regional office in the Southwest.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be deliberating on either they will sentence him because it's not just supposed to be expelled.
Yeah.
That man was supposed to be sent to prison.
A beautiful game of that nature.
Now, how do you explain that they have forgotten the subject matter and they are not chasing shadows? This thing was supposed to be a motion of support written together to kick that referee out, even if he has support from the National Bureau. We, the Southwest Regional League, we have seen what our eyes have never seen. This referee has done what no referee has ever done. So we unanimously agree, this 18-member delegation, we are sacking this referee and we are placing a demand for him to be sent for 10 to 2 years imprisonment. But they have left the subject matter. A man whose eyes on fire does not go about chasing rats. This is about chasing rats. This motion of support to Ethiopia is rat they are chasing. The man who is the fireman, the man who gave 5 officials red card in one match, gave 2 penalties on distributing red cards, and then they did not even pay attention to him. I'm doubting why till now nothing has been said about the referee. If I thought it was supposed to be an emergency meeting that was supposed to be called at the executive bureau, it was supposed to discuss that match, the persons in question, if they are going to announce some of those red cards, announce some of the yellow cards, or either cancel the match to replay it, or then send that referee far away. That thing was not even a subject. These guys instead got that. Representing them at the national level. So that man happens to be the eyes, the ears, the mouth, the legs of all the football in Southwest at the National Bureau. As a matter of fact, living at the regional level without having a representative at the National Bureau, a lot of things will be discussed there, concluded, then you guys will only see it already signed.
Yes,
but having a representative there, he may stand and say, no, I'm representing this region. I don't think this decision is advisable. And if I thought they want to go any further, he may link back to the point and this is what they are trying to do. You guys should rise up. Protest against it. But now you have taken the lone eye that was representing you people at the National Bureau. So you are now chasing rats when your house is on fire. The house on fire is that referee that brought the entire brouhaha. They should first of all seize his license, discipline him and expel him. Then they right now we have unanimously, as the executive bureau of the Southwest Football Federation, we are now sending away this man out of the pitch permanently. But instead, a meeting held.
Wonderful.
A meeting held. Then they misplaced priorities and held a meeting.
It's terrible. This
meeting was supposed to be held on behalf of the referee. These signatures were supposed to come out and say we have signed that this so and so referee should be kicked out.
But what is the implication? What is the implication of this? Deciding not to look at the problems plaguing Southwest football and focusing on the person who is out to. When they say someone wants to mess up, wants to bring disorder, it means that things are functioning very well. That's the meaning. That's the implication of this message.
That's why I answered you here.
That's the implication of this.
This letter has just shown to that guy that the people he thought
because when you say someone wants to bring disorder, it means everything is well. You can only bring disorder in a system that functions well.
It's so sad that on the day of the symposium, it was going to be a symposium of of the status for which we expected, because we're expecting almost all the stakeholders. And it was an opportunity for people to really air out their mind. We were happy that those who attended actually did say a lot of things. But what never changed, or what kept coming up, was the issue of match fixing. It therefore means, and 70% of those who were present were maybe club presidents, journalists, and whatsoever. It therefore means we're talking about sportsmen and women.
Of course.
When we talked about match fixing, it's so problematic because the beauty of the game has been tarnished even before the game begins. The FIFA rule of fair play no longer exist.
Yeah.
And remember, like he said, in Italy, Juventus Football Club of Italy was relegated to the 4th tier level for match fixing. And so those are the kind of things we're expecting, that clubs and investigation committee would have been created.
We can imagine what happened to Bernat Tapie,
of course.
Olympique de Marseille.
Of course. We're expecting that a commission would have been created to look at all the areas where there had been complaint of match fixing. But unfortunately, the only thing that we saw the only thing that was retained during the symposium was to sanction Faco United for having a player with double license. And I asked the question is, should we be talking about a player having double license? It therefore means, Mr. President, you have not even put a system in place to check information of players. You issued the license to a player. At the time of issuance, didn't you realize that this player is coming with information that has been modified?
That's true.
Because you accepted, it therefore means you have a system which is failing. You don't even have checks and balances. Today we have applications that immediately you put in key in information, it can simply reject because you have similarity of information. And for those who write reports, you realize that when we talk of plagiarism, because there is information which is too coherent with another report, consequently you're being sanctioned. A player cannot tell you changed information, and you don't have a system that can detect that. Now, Leo, what is the issue? When this point was brought up, they now looked at it as an opportunity to sanction Club A, and we don't even look at Club B. It therefore means there is lack of transparency. I come back to the president of the Southwest Regional League. You have to do your job. A decision should be unanimous, and transparency should be unanimous. It should go through. We are not handpicking. You don't handpick clubs, because the consequence of this decision this year is that next year a lot of clubs will either go in for match fixing because they already know
the game,
that it has already been fixed. It's either you are part of it, and if you are not part of it, you get sanctioned. And it's going to destroy the beauty of football in Southwest, because we have been pleading for Cameroonians to go back to the pitch and watch beautiful game. The game Kumba City against Jalakwan Sports Academy, we saw beautiful talent. The game Isosa against Istanbul Football Club, we saw talent. Where if a national team coach was there in Limbe, they would have selected at least 5 players in different categories. We saw beautiful talent, but again, administrators are pulling us backward. They are spoiling the game for having selected clubs prior to the commencement of the tournament. I think that those are things that it should stop this year, so that next year we should have a season which is free from any malpractice. We'll be watching the finals, I think, on Sunday. The finals is going to be Isosa against Kumba City. Southwest is working extremely hard to send out a representative for the region. Opopo just qualified for the Elite 1. We are working extremely hard to ensure that Southwest should have a representative at the Elite 2. We should be sending out a quality team to represent the region, not a team that is going to be questionable. The league is ongoing in Bamenda, and in other regions. Soon they'll be sending out their own representative. What is the quality of the representative we are going to send out from Southwest? Is it going to be a questionable representative? And if that happens, we should then be asking ourselves if this letter is appropriate. So I think that for now, I wish Njalakwan Jr. to come back to his decision, and the academy shouldn't be shut down. Let Cameroonians enjoy the beauty and let the legacy of Mr. Henry Njalakwan continue.
Okay.
With that, I was just coming in to say that it's a worry that we need to, that Njalakwan Sport Academy that has really stood the test of time. I will be with him within 24 hours. I'll talk with him.
Okay.
And personally, to see how probably the decision could be. But as we all said, it is temporal, because there's a clause that tells you that waiting for things to return to normalcy. What does it mean? This is a test to the hierarchy of the south of the football in the Southwest and the national level. Because when you have your foot vice president who resigns, if you are a humble person, you will not take it for granted. Two, if you are somebody who loves football, you will rush towards the area with fire extinguisher to make sure that you put off the fire and get things on the rail. So this is a test we have now to the national president and to the regional president, in that we want to see how far they can go if they think that they love football, because closing that has an impact in the Southwest region. That one is the truth. I know that, like what the sport analyst said, we have a handful of presidents who don't even have clubs that qualify at that level and all the like. So they will be happy, because no, this Njalakwan Sport was even disturbing us. Now that he's not even there, I'm sure we can easily sail through and do what we want to do. But then, those that man football in terms of Southwest at the head and the national level should now know that this is a test, this is a litmus test. That if they think that South football in the Southwest is important, they will even get to him to say, Papa, just take it easy. We are all humans. As I said, you cannot tell me that if a tool leaves Yaoundé and knocks Njalakwan's door in Limbe, you can't tell me that I don't want to see you. Of course. I don't think so. If we do this, we'll simply be revamping, and it will be easier for some of us who will be talking with him at the backstage to equally take time to see that he could listen, he could tell us, I've heard. But as I said, for the conditions, what does it mean? Mr. Leo, justice is important. If Njalakwan Jr. today hears that, the referee have been pinpointed, the Tangana Williams that we hear, the linesmen were part of it. On hearing that, even presidents who were involved have been identified and sanctioned, I think that Njalakwan Sport Academy will open in the next few hours from there. That's why I, as an individual, will be engaging the investigation. I have about 7 to 10 days. I will get to the presidents who were involved. You can only collaborate, if you don't collaborate with me. The main thing is that once you carry out a deal between 2 or 3 persons, it's no longer a secret. And for those who know exactly what transpired, feed me with the information. Fire wants to come out, it will come out. We'll handle it, and I'll bring it to the limelight, clean and clear, so that we get Southwest football back on the rail. It must be on the rail, whether we like it or not. We have enjoyed it, and on Sunday we'll also be on the pitch. We'll gather the information as I will be there in person. President, whether you like it or not, I will be there in person with the entire investigation team. We'll gather what we can gather. When we bring it to you, you don't want to collaborate. The moment we arrive at it with facts, you'll be surprised with the outcome. Thank you.
Now, Apostle, this is a motion of support to President Samuel Etofis by Football Federation, FECAFOOT Samuel Etofis, from the football family of the Southwest region. Does this stop the creation of a commission of investigation to what is happening in the Southwest region?
No, it doesn't. There were administrative authorities in different regions of the country when crisis came up. I think that that commission is a commission that is a group of neutral persons who are not part of the deal. Because sending a criminal to go and catch another criminal is an error of the year. These people must have been doing these things so that the investigation should not be carried, because probably their hands also are soiled into it. Because if they had followed legal procedure, they would have sent an investigation committee that would have come down, and probably most of them who are writing this thing would have been caught also in the act. But unfortunately, they are doing this in order to just cover up the idea of an investigation committee. And I think Njalakwan also, the anger that is causing him to close the academy is that there is this apathy. Just like voters' apathy in Cameroon. The apathy that you are playing for nothing. You don't need to be talented, you don't need to be skillful to win a match. You just need to know where to buy the match and you win the match. That so we all definitely kill people who are coming in to actually be talent, because the Jalakwan Sports Academy is actually to bring out talent. Now, if money is replacing talent, what's the essence of investing in something that tomorrow will not produce any result? If we raise excellent players there, we carry them to the field, the talent will be of no use. Yep. Our primary objective is to take young talents in Lima around the country and build them up and then set them on the stage. But now it has come to a level where talent does no longer matter. Just like in Cameroon, you can do all you can. There's voters apathy, because they will tell you that there is a result before the elections. Yeah. They already have a knowledge. So that football apathy is what has captured this Jalakwan of a guy. But I want to let him understand that it is better you face something and fight it. Politics has not stopped in Cameroon because there's voters apathy. There are still persons who are still pressing and fighting to see that changes come. You can't run away from a battle and expect it to change. At the level when Jalakwan is right now, it stands a better chance in Limbe is in fighting against all these manipulations and all these schemes in the football circle in the Southwest region. So I believe so much that with his commitment and the idea of bringing out talent, they should engage every procedure in place to make sure that they fight this football apathy that is gradually creeping, because there are other presidents who do not have money to buy matches. They will definitely become very discouraged also. They will back up. Before you realize tomorrow, football in Southwest will remain for the rich. Just like some responsibilities in Cameroon, they are for the rich. Yeah. It matter how talented and skillful you are, if you have no money, you cannot have access to it. So that's how football is going to sideways. Now it is banknotes and Visa cards and bank checks that are becoming the talent that plays football in the Southwest, which is very dangerous.
Mr. Ako, how do...
There's a worry here. You know, we are taking like that because this is where the main worry comes in. Now, if we look at the saga now in the Southwest, we have to be called a spade, Mr. Leo. I think our national president of FECAFOOT should also admit some errors. Why do I say admitting errors, Mr. Leo? It is inadmissible. That's why sometimes I said it could be a network. Because I am telling you there's a possibility here. Football lovers hear very well. The fact I give you a confidential letter, it leaks. Now, shows that it could equally be another way of you wanting to mix me indirectly or indirectly. If not, Mr. Leo, how do you explain that the president is like the governor comes to Tico, holds a meeting when the Joe in Tico is not there, or the minister of territorial administration comes to Boya, he's holding a meeting when the governor and the SGO in Fako are not in that meeting. Now you begin to ask yourself, how could it be possible when there is someone who represents you there, who's even supposed to be the one to receive you, maybe at the Mungo Bridge, you understand, escorts you fully there, but then you hold a meeting with other club presidents and he is not there. Mr. Leo, this thing is deeper than what we are looking at. The scheme between Eto and Jalakwan Jr., flamed by this kind of presidents, by this our presidents who wrote this kind of memo, is deeper than the way we are seeing. And if it's deeper than that, we think that while we are calling on an aspect to investigate the referees, the president involved, the president has a role to play. He also needs to tell us what happened. Maybe they have their setback that we don't know, that they are hiding to us, that they are making us be blowing grabber here, going up and coming down. But in sincerity, Mr. Leo, by hierarchical presentation in administration, a national president cannot be in an area when a national ESCO is there, and then you hold a meeting, and the man is absent. Number one sportsman, first of all, because it's not just first president, but he's number one sportsman. That even the team he's manning has been creating impact in terms of football. So, Mr. Leo, it's a call for concern that while we think we are holding the president of the FECAFOOT in the Southwest and others, Samuel Eto'o has a role to play in this matter.
Yeah, but how do we find a lasting solution to what is plaguing football in the Southwest region, Mr. Ako?
Yes, so I think that, Leo, for us to have a solution, firstly, we have to discuss with Jalakwan so that he can come back to his initial position. Then I think that, secondly, the National Bureau needs to send out a commission of inquiry to see an independent commission to see that we come out with a report on what actually transpired during all the games, or the games which that have been accused of match fixing, not only the game against Jalakwan Sports Academy, but many other games that were played even throughout the season. After which I think that the report could have been submitted, then a decision will definitely be made. But again, we should be very careful with the inquiry, because it shouldn't be an inquiry where to sugarcoat things, or an inquiry to please the eyes.
Okay. Yeah.
It should be an inquiry of that capacity, of an reasons why I called it an independent body to carry out such an inquiry. In my opinion, the federation can even entrust maybe let's say the littoral body or the Adamawa body to carry out the independent inquiry, because they could be different from members of the federation who have already taken sides. Because I can tell you, some members of the federation in Yaoundé have already taken sides, and definitely they themselves their attitude might be questionable if they are part of the inquiry. So we could get into a different region, the northern region, get some members from each region to make up a team of inquiry, and they perform that within a defined time frame, and we submit a report. Then the report shouldn't be kept in the drawers. The report should definitely be acted upon. And but my fear is that inquiry will come to solve a problem, but again, the event has already created in itself another problem, that even the inquiry might be so difficult for the inquiry to manage. What is that? It has already created a bad blood, a very negative, toxic energy among so many members. Consequently, people who could sit and dialogue today might definitely not dialogue tomorrow, and that's the negative energy that has created. I'll give you an example. When some members did not turn up during the symposium, it's because of already an existing bad blood that is existing in Southwest. Because those who don't find themselves to be part of the New Deal, because the New Dawn, when Jalakwan had as his slogan, New Dawn, during his electoral campaign. So those who don't find themselves to be part of the New Dawn are in the backstage hitting the drum. Yeah. They are hitting the drum because they are not part of the New Dawn Bureau. Consequently, it remains an issue. So in as much as the inquiry could come to resolve and come out with results on this, there is already a toxic environment that has been created, which I think that is going to take so much time for that to be erased. But I think that whenever there is justice, a lot of things can naturally change, because if there is democracy and we find an environment whereby the law is implemented on the same platform to each and everyone, I think that is going to readjust the climate. But if we find ourselves in next year whereby the law is still implemented on a selected basis, then I think that we have a long way to go to resolve this crisis.
Okay, we are going to be ending here, but I'm sure next week we may have had new developments, and we are going to be revisiting this topic. I would have loved to have Njalakwan Jr. here, or some officials of
as well as Daze Valerie.
Yes, the current football federation for the Southwest region. I got to some of them today who told me they were not disposed to be part of this program. I would have loved to have them live here, but please feel free to use this platform to educate the population. If we are misrepresenting your views, we are open to receiving you to talk to the people. We want to thank you, Mr. Ako, for coming.
Thank you so much, Mr. Leo. I want to wish healing mercies to a very good friend of mine, Oben Susan Adamu, who had a fracture some days ago.
Okay. And also to you, Apostle Ambe Valentine, for coming.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Leo. It's always a joy to be here, and we keep praying that the football situation in the Southwest region will get better.
We thank you too, Far Elvis Tayon, the Kangaroo Man, for coming.
Yeah, thanks very much, Mr. Leo. While calling on those that will meet in the days ahead to do us good to collaborate, because I don't think we're investigating to kill somebody. We are just investigating to come back and educate the population here on realities on the ground. So probably the president can give us a helping hand by connecting us to the appropriate quarters. What is happening? Not money, Collect us separate quarters. I think I will put the bills for the investigation, and within 10 days I might be able to give you the little information. So greetings to our good friends who are watching us there, the Eagle Trans VIP Services family. I think they will soon be here anytime soon to see Mr. Kum Leonard for the newborn baby that is coming up as a transport VIP services. And we'll start, you get more information from our Media Prime in 4 weeks from now as we kickstart. We'll give you the necessary information, and you get that only on my Media Prime when we will come here to get most of that details in terms of VIP transport services. But then, greetings to Makia, Paul Makia, they call him Taximan Paulo, who is watching us visibly there with our good friends from Bakul out there in Kumba. They are actually watching us here. Until then, Mr. Leo, our wish is that let football in the Southwest region triumph.
Okay, we want to thank you all who took time off to watch this edition of the program, especially to the production team. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.